Welcome to Cash Talk, the podcast where we delve into the depths of finance, business, and life itself. I'm your host, John Cachia, a multi-award-winning wealth advisor with a passion for empowering ambitious Australians to confidently achieve financial freedom. Hey everyone, before we get started, this is a quick reminder that everything in this podcast is of a general nature and nothing has been tailored to your personal circumstances. So please seek personal financial advice before acting on this information. And welcome back to Cash Talk. And today I'm joined by JK. JK, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Punching through end of financial year strategies, I'm sure, for you.
It's the busiest time of year, but really today's hopefully the last day of it. So that's all good.
Yeah, awesome, mate. The interesting thing about end of financial year, and we're not going to talk about this today, but what I really found was as much as it's around the hustle, it's also about the reward that you actually give to the clients in an immediate fashion. So 100%. I know we're doing a lot of, long days and late hours and stuff like that, but the impact that you have is just immense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And especially when it comes to our job, a lot of the impact our clients see takes 5 or 10 years before they really start to see results. This is that time where, and it's probably one of the very few times where they're getting results pretty much within about a month, they're seeing the impact of what we're doing. So yeah, it is a lot more rewarding in that sense.
Well, that's a good segue actually into what we're going to be talking about today, which is around getting financially fit and the correlations between both health and wealth. And it's something that has taken me a while to understand. And it was something that, and when I say a while, it wasn't that when I got into financial advice, I understood the correlation between the two. But as I've got on, I've understood that for you to be fulfilled and for you to have the right behaviors, you've got to be attacking both. Because one of the things that I found is on my own journey that I wanted to share before we dabble into, go into this, is you can have all the money in the world. But when you're sitting there in a rehab center in a hospital and you can't get your health back, or it's going to take you a hell of a lot of time, it puts into perspective how important health is.
Correct. Yeah.
And JK, you'd probably say if you actually reflect on a lot of the clients that do really, really well with us, they're both looking after their wealth and looking after their health, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, correct. And I think on that it's around, there's people out there that can make as much money as possible. And like you said, some of them end up miserable. But when we're talking to a lead, a lot of clients come to us and say, I just want to start an investment. And our response is, well, what's it all for? And that what's it all for, to be able to do that usually takes money and your health as well. Well, yeah.
Yeah, so prospective clients come and it's mainly about fixing the financial side of things. And you can fix all the finances in the world. But
Correct.
if you're 10 years down the track and your health is miserable, well, you can't use your wealth anyway.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So, when we talk about our clients and we talk about the people that we work with and the people that we want to hopefully inspire to do great things, it's about understanding that you got to work on both of them because you don't want to use all of your money as well too when your health is miserable, because what are you going to use it on?
Correct.
So that's very important to understand. You've got to have both, okay? And when we're talking about health, we're not just talking about physical health, we're talking about mental health. And actually, when you talk about then mental health, there is a correlation between the investment decisions and the decisions they make based on their mental well-being. And what I'm saying, for example, is if you're suffering with anxiety or you're suffering with depression, your emotions are triggering certain behaviors in you to do certain things with your money. And those decisions are clouded sometimes by your mental judgment.
Yeah.
And it's only until you have someone else looking in to make you aware of the things that mental health condition or that current situation or environment you're suffering with is impacting your finances.
Correct. Yeah.
And so the correlation is deep on much different levels in regards to executing really, really good decisions. And, I've been through mental health battles myself, and I'm sure you've been through stressful times. And when you stress, you sometimes, in most cases, are risk averse. When you're depressed, you're not so optimistic, and you think that the world is going to be caving in. So it's just very important to have your physical health, your mental health, and then the impacts that has on your financial behaviors for you to execute, a long-term strategy.
Correct. And it also goes the other way as well, where having your wealth and finances in order gives you those options to look after your health as well. Like I had a client I was actually talking to today, and he decided to stop his job because there was some health issues, and he was essentially also the stress at the job was part of it. But the conversation we had was, well, we've done this, this, and this. Your cash flow's in order. If you needed to take the next 6 months off work to get your health in order before you go back, then you're sweet. Like it's not an issue. And for him, it takes the stress away because the money stresses are no longer an issue. But now he can take pretty much as long as he needs to get his health in order, which he wouldn't be able to do that if he hadn't looked after his finances.
Definitely. And I think I know who you're talking about because I was working with him originally.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Like when they first came to us, they were on really, really high incomes. And they really worked hard. But I could see that they were stressing about their finances. And I know that over time we got that mental stress down, and now they're really focusing on their physical health.
Correct.
And hopefully they focus on their physical health so that now what we've done over the last, say, decade, they've now got the fruits for it, and it sounds like they really do, which is amazing. The other thing as well too, which is a very, very strong correlation to what we see in health and fitness behavior, to what we see in successful investing and wealth creation, is around the level of patience, planning, accountability, and consistency to get to where you need to get to. And, I often use these correlations when I'm talking on this podcast or when I'm speaking to people. And, I often say things like, how many people want a six pack, but how many people actually have them? Everyone knows how to get a six pack, but yet not many people work around. So one is, like your health, do you really want what you're aiming for? Like really, truly. Are you going to the gym in the morning? Are you following the diet plan, the macros and the micros, or whatever you need to do, customized to you? Are you following your wealth plan that's customized to you? Are you rocking up? Are you engaged? Are you learning? Are you doing all of these things? And so it boils down to being successful in whatever you want to do. It's about first being aware of the problems you have, planning to fix those problems which you may not be able to fix, and getting expert opinion to fix those. They're not just leaving a plan. It's like how many diet plans have people got or nutrition plans that are still on the fridge and don't get executed on? And so which brings me to the other one is around then having the execution.
And the discipline.
And then someone keeping you accountable, like that annoying gym partner, 6 a.m. in the morning, let's go to the gym, to keep you going to where you're needing to go to. And I was speaking to my personal trainer yesterday, and some people say to me, they're like, John, why do you have a personal trainer? You've been training with this guy for ages. You know how to lift weights now. Like you've been doing it when you were young, and it's not about lifting the weights. I've got an appointment with this guy. I'm going to rock up. I'm not going to let this guy down. And he's dialing in the one percenters. The technique, the way I lift, making sure that we're pushing into other areas. And I was saying to one of my mates who was questioning it, I'm just like, I'm doing PBs in regards to some of my exercises, and the mental barrier to be able to kind of push through those things is huge. And that's what we were talking about before in regards to your mental condition. Like, how many times, JK, over the times where you've heard me on the phone be like, no, this is the time we need to pull the trigger. The plan says it. This is what we need to do. Pull it. And they're just like apprehensive to do it. That's the same as like going to do that, that 11th rep or that 12th rep. And no, I've got you. I'm guiding you. You're good. And so.
And how good do you feel after it as well?
And it's actually the similar feeling to what you do get when you achieve your wealth
It's
goals.
the same thing. Yeah.
And it's those milestones that you and I like using the word milestones rather than goals. I see that there's like a connotation between goals as a sense of an end point, whereas I like milestones because milestones is like there's always something next.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there are big goals like being financially free from a wealth perspective where you paid off your debt and your passive income exceeds your lifestyle requirements. That is a goal. But what are the milestones along the way?
Yeah.
And it's those milestones that when dialed in, both in like your health, mental and physical, that allow you to get to that goal. And I must admit, after a long time, and I can't tell you how long it's been that I've been working with the personal trainer for, but it's been some quite time. Like initially, I didn't feel the benefits. But now I'm feeling the benefits. I'm feeling much stronger. I'm feeling much fitter. There's more things I can do with my kids. And then the mental side of things. And then coupled with what that means to me as like an advisor, a business owner in regards to it's what we talk about, JK, around the Wheel of Life exercise. Before I get into the Wheel of Life exercise, I know that you are very much about fitness and health. Do you find that it allows you to make better decisions?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the main reason for that is what we said. One is around how good you feel afterwards, because it's that belief that, because when it comes to personal or fitness in general, unlike finances, it might take, 5-10 years to get the results. But when it comes to your health, if you set yourself a target, you don't necessarily, like, you'll start to see progress in about 2 or 3 weeks. The exercise will get easier. Sometimes every week you're doing PBs. So just that belief that what you couldn't do 2 or 3 weeks ago that you can do now, that carries over into work, carries over into, finances and life and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, it's massive benefit just in regards to outside of that too.
Now, JK, me and you are typically inherent tight asses. That's what our siblings would tell us anyway. And there's a sense of like when you first kind of are enlightened about doing this, that there's this cost to engage in a health professional or a fitness professional or get the equipment or see a financial advisor or a wealth coach or whatever it's going to. People need to break through that, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. And it's that non-tangible value, and that's why it's so hard for other people to see.
And when you mean that non-tangible, give me an understanding about that.
Well, what you were saying, for example, with your personal trainer, like you mentioned at the start, you sort of didn't see the results, and now you feel better about it. And it's that belief that now that you're going to the gym consistently because you have that person there to keep you accountable. That, like, you could do that anyway. So that value that they're giving you from the outside in doesn't necessarily look like there's any value there. But then if you take that away from you, then you probably wouldn't be going. But unless you actually take that away, then you're not going to see it.
And 100%. JK, I can do the maths to make it everyone a little bit. It cost me $5,000 a year.
Yeah, and you'll be worse off.
Yep. So let's think about it. From a financial perspective, it cost me $5,000. Now, what do I get in regards to that $5,000? I get a healthier version of me, a stronger version of me. I'm now a better role model to my kids that are learning about fitness and health in the family.
Yeah, which is arguably the biggest one.
We're making better decisions. Yeah, we're not impulsively buying and snacking and doing all of those things. Don't tell my trainer this, but like $5,000 looks cheap.
Yeah.
Like in comparison to some $5,000 investments that people would make. And if you look at as an advisor, and let's say you're spending on an advisor, say $5, $6, $7,000 a year. For someone to allow you to make better money decisions on your daily basis, freaking in most cases do the sit-ups for you as well.
Yeah.
Like, I just that understanding about what it costs you is such a mental barrier, and I think this is where the successful people in both health and wealth have understood that this is an investment in arguably, probably besides family and the, well, you'd argue maybe health is even in front because you've got to be selfish when it comes to your health. It's arguably the most important stuff in your life.
Correct, yeah. And again, that value is so hard to articulate because you say it all the time. If you save a client from making one bad decision, that could pay off the cost of the advisor fees for the next 20, 30 years. Like, you can't.
What I have done for hundreds, if not thousands of people, and humbly speaking, please, I'm not trying to speak out of school, is I've changed a lot of people's lives, not just for them, for their kids and for their grandkids. Generational impacts. And so the behaviors that we've been able to teach these people to then bring on and then pass on to their kids and then pass on to their grandchildren and to the people that are around is actually incredible, JK. And so what we found is that as we've taught them both how to create wealth and be fulfilled at life at the same time, mate, we've done things like save marriages. You know, I've had someone come in and say, you know, John, I'm divorcing my husband because he works too hard and never sees us and da-da-da-da. And then me sitting down going, mate, this is what we're going to do with your money. This is the way we're going to do things, and saving a marriage.
Yeah.
You know, and they're celebrating now, having grandkids, and they're happier than ever, and they travel the world. You know, just think about that. You know, we go through an exercise to get people down to what I believe is their core purpose and their core, what they want in life. And really, when you go down to it, people just want to be fulfilled, but people don't understand what that means to them.
Yeah.
And a part of that is you can be fulfilled, but you also need to have your health sorted, your wealth sorted, and everything in what we call the wheel of life. And if you haven't seen the wheel of life before, check it out. On our YouTube channel, we'll leave it in the link below. So for you to be able to kind of download the wheel of life. But essentially, it's a wheel that you look at certain things like your health, your wealth, your career, your relationships, your spiritual side, you know, mind, body, soul. And if you can use your money to point it to that, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
You know? So it's...
And it really comes to identifying the problem first, which is what we spoke about at the start, where the whole... And that's sometimes half the exercise, just knowing where you need to improve. And that's what that wheel of life is enabling you to do. So... yeah, it's a fantastic exercise, that one.
It is, and it's one of those ones where you can clearly identify to yourself like what area of your life requires the most attention. And why money needs to be the vehicle is that most of the time you can utilize the mechanism of money to improve those. So I'll give you an example, and it's not always the case, but it just helps. Like if you're lacking in health and not looking after yourself, maybe you can use some of that money that's you're doing really well in to get a personal trainer.
Yeah, correct.
Or you might use your money to cut down your work hours because you need to focus on your family. Yeah, or so it's a very, very interesting exercise. It does has so much of a bearing on you being truly fulfilled because the other thing around it is there's a lot of people that accumulate a lot of wealth but are miserable. And this is the other linkage between like mental well-being is if you're always chasing money to get richer and richer and richer and richer and richer, like I tend to find that if you're like that, you're becoming more stressed. You're working long hours. You're doing everything you can, and you're not there smelling the roses and having the level of gratitude and fulfillment.
Yeah, and it does get to a point where it's just numbers on a screen.
It is. It is. And if you look at this, JK, like it's not to say that we're not in the game to making people wealthy. We are, but we're not going to do that at the cost of their health and at the cost of fulfillment. Correct. And that is why the correlation between the two is just so important.
Yeah, 100%.
So hopefully today's episode has been very enlightening for you in regards to some of the behavioural similarities between how you approach your health and how you approach your wealth, and also around just some of the things that you need to be aware of, such as, you got to be aware of the problems first, okay? Because from there you can then plan, create a system, keep someone keeping you accountable to get to where you need to get to. But they are both working hand in hand with one another. Both your health and your wealth need to be humming, okay? If your health is really good, but you got no wealth, well, then can you apply it to the other areas in the wheel of life, such as, career and family and so forth? And if you have all the wealth, but then you're not focusing on the other areas, well, then you might be really, really rich, but in a hospital bed. And that's not what you want. And we want people to be able to enjoy their wealth. And hopefully today has been a really good insight into that. So if you're liking these episodes, jump onto our YouTube channel, give us a subscribe. Also, make sure you hit the bell button so that you're notified. And on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to our Spotify, and also on Apple Podcast and Google Play as well too. So until next time, have a good one. Thanks, JK.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, everyone.